The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us for our Financing Your Adoption Journey webinar. I am here today. I'm Julie Flesch. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of ProMedia. We are marketing consultants for Adoption Network Law Center, and I'm here with Kristen Yellen, who is Chief Counsel for Adoption Network Law Center, and also Jeff Fisher, who is the Finance Director for Adoption Network Law Center. And we are here today with a couple of goals in mind. First of all, to help you as best we can to financially prepare for your adoption. And second, to help assist you in benefiting from all of the adoption financing resources that are available to you. So today we're going to start out and we're going to talk a little bit, first of all, about understanding adoption expenses, and we're going to go into the federal tax credit, touch on employer benefits and grants and fundraisers, and then also get into, towards the end of the presentation, the adoption financing programs that we have available. And we're going to start off by talking with Chris Yellen, and Chris is going to get into the detail of helping you understand what you need to be prepared for with regards to adoption expenses. So, Chris, if you can.
Yes, thank you, Julie, and welcome everyone for joining us today. It's a pleasure to help provide some information for those of you who are considering this journey to help build your family. First of all, I want to be realistic with everyone out there and make sure everyone understands expenses that are involved to fulfill an adoption. Really, we generally give a range, and granted, we would like to give it a very broad range so that you are prepared and can budget and save for the purposes of completing your adoption, of a range of between $30,000 to $50,000 in expenses. Now, some of you probably might have just dropped your phone, so take a deep breath, and again, I want to outline what you would be looking at, and I'm basing this on an average client who is going to inquire about our services or potentially the services of a smaller agency or even an independent attorney. So I've broken it down here on the slide between Phase 1 and Phase 2. Your adoption services, marketing and advertising expenses, your home study fees. You really, really want to do your homework in regards to all of your expenses and what you are going to be outlaying for the services that you get. Really understand what adoption services include when you inquire with an entity. For example, here at ANLC, we're very unique in our marketing. We are able to cast a very, very wide net. So there's significant value in the marketing that you get with our services, say compared to a solo practitioner or perhaps a smaller agency that doesn't have that capability of expanding their marketing and attracting birth mothers. So really know what value you are getting for your services. I cannot emphasize that enough. In addition, the adoption services that I refer to there in Phase 1 really has to do with the relationship that the entity builds with the birth mother or birth parent in order to hold their hand, support them through what's a very unnatural journey for them. So again, this is a service that is very, very important to the success of your adoption. So you want to make sure, whether it be with us here at ANLC or any other entity, that you truly understand what service is going to be provided and what support network is in place for that birth parent. Ideally, we focus on the fact that if the birth parent is well taken care of and well supported and is held throughout this process, it benefits our client because we want it to be successful. Okay, so in addition, you will have to go through the home study process. We require that our clients get a home study done by a licensed child placing agency. We require that only because we want our clients to be available to have an opportunity in any state at any time. Not all states require that it be a home study by a licensed child placing agency, but to ensure that you have plenty of opportunity and that you don't basically block yourself from potential opportunities. We request that of our clients. So again, this is a home study where an agency will have a social worker come out and interview you, gather up information, have you do FBI clearances, child abuse clearances, and really this is to determine whether or not they can appropriately recommend that a child be placed in your home. So ultimately you want to get that process going as quickly as possible. Generally speaking, home study fees can range anywhere from, I want to say, $1,500 to maybe $2,500. Outside of that, you really want to know what else they're going to be doing for you. Under Phase 2, there is other fees that a lot of people don't take into account when they're planning for an adoption journey. You have outside legal fees, meaning an entity or an attorney or somebody to represent the birth mother when she is giving her relinquishment. By the same token, making sure that birth parent rights are properly and legally terminated. You have ICPC documents and processes to work through. ICPC is the Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children, which is required for any adoption that takes place outside of your home state. So you have to make sure that is taken care of. Of utmost importance, of course, are birth mother pregnancy-related expenses. Again, the need here is you're usually dealing with a birth mother who is in dire economic circumstances. It's very typical for birth mothers to require support because they are facing hardships in their lives. They need the support while they're pregnant to get nutrition, to get maternity clothes, to make sure they have a roof over their head, etc. So you definitely want to plan for being able to contribute to birth mother support. You know, on average here, we recommend if you can save for it to be able to offer up to about $5,000 in support. You know, it might be a lot less if it's a short opportunity where a birth mother is near her due date. Could go more than that as well if she needs housing, say out here in our housing program. So keep that in mind. Travel and lodging expenses. You may be called upon for an opportunity that is across the country. You have to arrange for flights. You have to arrange for lodging. You may be in that state for up to 2 weeks waiting for ICPC clearance. You know, take into account things like if you have pets at home and you need somebody to watch them, or if you need to board your dogs. All of this, you have to really plan and think ahead that, oh, I better have this in place. I better make sure I've got that covered. Then once you are home with your little baby, there's post-placement visits, usually done by the same entity or agency that has done your home study, usually. Sometimes they can be done by a state social worker. But again, there is usually a fee for post-placement visits. And you want to make sure that that fee is paid because those post-placement visits will lead to a report that will be written by that agency or that social worker, thus recommending you for adoption to the court. So you want to make sure that you have those post-placement visits done timely and that the fees are paid so that your report can be filed with the court. So a lot of expenses to be considered here. Again, I urge you to do your homework. Look at what you would be paying for as far as what the entity offers for adoption services, the value you get for your marketing and advertising expenses when you are seeking out an entity to work with. Okay? Again, I can't emphasize enough, the wider the net that an entity can cast, usually the more successful and the quicker that an opportunity will present itself for the client.
And part of that, doing your homework, Chris, is also comparing entities apples to apples, right? Because you can call up an entity and ask them how much does it cost to adopt through you and get a very different answer, a very different number than you see here, right?
Absolutely. If you call an agency or a sole practitioner and they tell you that they can do an adoption for you for $10,000 or even $15,000, okay, I would be very, very wary of what you are going to get as far as value out of that. Do they market you? Do they do outreach to birth mothers? How do they attract birth mothers? Do they just wait for somebody to call them? What's involved with birth mother support? So yes, you will often get a lower number at the outset from an agency or an entity that you call, and you'll think, great. Okay, well, don't forget to outline all those other things and ask them, okay, does this include a home study? Does this include post-placement visits? Does this include services for a birth parent? You want to ask all those questions, and specifically regarding marketing and advertising on how it is that they are going to promote you, the client, for an adoption opportunity to come your way. So yes, you definitely want to ask those questions.
So with that in mind, and understanding that you're looking down the road at some fairly significant expenses that you need to incur, to properly conduct your adoption, the bigger piece of this webinar session today is talking about the different vehicles that are available, benefits, credits, and ways that you can save or have access to resources that can, accommodate some of those expenses for you. And the first one up that we're going to discuss today is the tax benefits that are available. Fortunately, normally when we talk about taxes, all of us get a little bit of a sick feeling in our stomach, but fortunately this is good news today. There is a significant savings available to you for an adoption tax credit. We have taken the information that you're going to see on the slides today, and we've taken them directly from the IRS website, and we have also had this information carefully reviewed by our company CPA. We still encourage you, as we are not tax professionals, we're not CPAs here, but we encourage